82 times it's mentioned in the Bible that gold and silver are good. Specifically mentions silver. The Bible mentions silver over 82 times, and 82 different verses. And the significance of it is, as we study Joseph's story, Henry Gibson, Palmery, and we begin to realize that perfect title does not exchange or change hands without value and consideration. I keep telling you guys that everything is predicated off that 1611 King James Bible. Now, don't give a shit whether you're religious, spiritual, or not. It's important to understand that this book is a playbook if you know how to read it, and it's not an exaggeration or a joke, okay? And people, I've been kicked out of multiple churches for speaking the truth, and they ask me, where did you learn this stuff? Did you go to Jerusalem? Did you join the archdiocese? Where did you gain this acquired knowledge? I gained this acquired knowledge in prison, where I had nothing else other than the Bible to read after doing extensive studies in law prior to reading the Bible, which gave me the ability to be able to comprehend what that book is actually, okay? And I've had lawyers run me down out of a courtroom and go, hey, young man, that's the best book ever written. And I said, yep, I'm firmly aware of that. Now, these lawyers don't say things like that to put wind in my sails or boost me up or try and buffalo me. Some of these lawyers that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s actually comprehend what that book is. All right? And they know how powerful that book is. So let me just get into this a little bit, because I want to stress to you guys how important it is to call forward the land patent in such disturbing times when big multinational corporations are buying out real estate and property on the very land that we exist on. That's dangerous, all right? And it might be time that we start to co-op together and buy our damn country back, all right? So I'm just food for thought here. People go, well, would you ever consider running for the president? I'm going to tell you right now, most people wouldn't be able to handle a man like me as president, because I'd literally be hanging people by their fucking testicles for breach of their fiduciary duties, breach of their oath of office, warring against the American people, taking families and breaking them apart, leaving them destitute while unjustly enriching themselves and fleecing the mother and father, and engaging in human trafficking, selling drugs to our fellow brothers and sisters, allowing the CIA to move massive amounts of fentanyl in this country. If I was a president, there would be 4 years of just sheer nightmares for politicians and anybody who was corrupt and sinister. I would unleash the full weight of the military on these people, and we would definitely have firing squads, and we would definitely be hanging people at the White House on national television. And it would be known across the world that if you fuck with the United States of America or its people who are peaceful in nature, that we will absolutely fucking decimate you. And I'm a man who speaks with great conviction, and if you read my police reports of anybody I've ever whooped the shit out of, you will soon find that I'm a man of my word, and that I will do exactly what I tell you I will do. So as far as running for president, I don't think I'm a viable candidate necessarily, because too many people are too soft for what actually needs to be fucking done. So that'll end that debate. Some of the heads of fathers' households, when they arrived at the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem, offered willingly for the house of God to restore it on its foundation. Job 28:1-4. Surely there is a mine of silver and a place where they refine gold. Iron is taken from the dust, and copper is smelted from rock. Man puts an end to darkness, and to the Father's limit he searches out the rock in gloom and deep shadow. 1 Kings 10:22. For the king had at sea the ships of Tarshish with the ships of Haram. Once every 3 years the ships of Tarshish came bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. 2 Chronicles 9:20. All King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. Silver was not considered valuable in the days of Solomon. Jeremiah 10:9. Between silver is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Euphrates, the work of a craftsman and of the hands of the goldsmith. Violet and purple are their clothing. They are all the work of skilled men. Ezekiel 27:12. Tarshish was your customer because of the abundance of all kinds of wealth, with silver, iron, tin, lead. They paid for the wares. Revelations 8:11-12. And the merchants of the earth weep and mourn over her, because no one buys their cargoes anymore. Cargoes of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and every kind of kitron wood and every article of ivory and every article made from very costly wood and bronze and iron and marble. Psalms 66:10. For you have tried us, O God. You have refined us as silver is refined. Now that one's important, ladies and gentlemen, because it articulates that everything in this world is created and purified through a whole lot of heat and pressure. And if you don't believe me, just think about how you were created. You went to a party with your dad, you got shot out of a cannon, you went home with your mom, and in the middle of that process was fusion, a whole lot of heat and pressure, and hopefully some love. All right? So everything in this world is created by heat and pressure, and everything in this world is refined by heat and pressure. Okay? It removes the impurities. Okay? And that's exactly how they refine gold and silver. They heat it up. They get it to a molten state, they scrape off the impurities, and then they have a pure product at the end. That is exactly how your life develops as well. Through your trials and tribulations, you are tested, you're heated to a boiling point, and the impurities are shedded from you as you age and develop. And those are the Bible, the books in the Bible that are removed, showing how Jesus Christ came into understanding what his purpose was, who he was, following scripture and understanding the prophecies that had developed and being cognizant of who he was, from the three wise men visiting him at his birth. All these prophecies came forward, and so he started to understand who he was. Just like the rest of us, he was born without cognitive thought. Okay, these things are something that are developed through time, and that was the importance of them removing those volumes of the Bible from us, was so we wouldn't learn in between the time he was 12 to about the time he was 30 of his trials and tribulations and the things that he struggled with, right? So, Proverbs 17:3, the refined pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord's tests hearts. Proverbs 27:21, the crucible is for silver and the furnace for gold, and each is tested by the praise accorded him. Isaiah 48:10, behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. Okay, the furnace of affliction. That's what we're all going through right now, our trials and our tribulations, watching the world go to shit, and becoming quickly astute to the fact that if we don't change our ways, if we don't start standing up for what's true, right, honorable, valuable, and we don't start operating with good conscience, for good reason, with clean hands, we're going to have some serious issues in the near future. So I want to leave these 82 verses and step over here to the importance of a land patent. And I want to tell you the treaties that you need to be looking at. If you've taken the land patent class, it's articulated in that class. However, it's important that you know what treaties are in play. Okay, treaties supersede the Constitution, and the United States military has a duty to protect the treaties, okay, and the Constitution that founded this great nation. Now, a lot of people say the Constitution is dead. I'm going to tell you right now, the power to create is never greater than the power that existed. So, for example, God created man, man created government, government created persons and corporations. So the hierarchy works like this. I can't tell God what to do. I don't have that ability. I can't create or manifest something better than he has already created and have it lord over him. It does not work that way. So the power to create can never be greater than the creator. Okay, it's a sound principle and doctrine. It's just so fundamentally basic and elementary in its nature, it need not even be explained. But unfortunately, in the 21st century, where everybody's dumbed down by the legislative, political bureaucracy of public fool system, unfortunately, we find ourselves in such dire times where somebody has to tell you the fucking truth. So allow me to do it. I don't have a problem doing that. All right. The treaty-making power is an extraordinary power liable to abuse. Treaties make international law, and they also make domestic law. Under our Constitution, treaties become the supreme law of the land. They are indeed more supreme than ordinary laws. For congressional laws are invalid if they do not conform to the Constitution, whereas treaty laws can override the Constitution. Treaties, for example, can take power away from the Congress and give them to the President. They can take powers from the state and give them to the federal government or to some international body, and they can cut across the rights given to the people by the Constitutional Bill of Rights. John Foster Dulles. All right. So, as we get into this, let me find exactly where I want to start out with this. This is just a good starting point. Yeah, I'm live streaming. Need a lighter? Mm-hmm. Let's see here. As soon as I get to this, you'll understand why land patent is so important. Land patent stops bidding at sheriff's sale. In recent cases, Robert Deardoff of Indianapolis, Indiana, had filed a declaration of land patent with a certified copy of the original patent in a sheriff's sale which took place last August. Mr. Deardoff and a witness went into the sheriff's sale and met with the sheriff. He had previously warned the sheriff that if he had went ahead with the sheriff's sale, he would go to the U.S. Attorney General and swear out a warrant for his arrest for criminal trespass on his land patent. However, the sheriff's counsel advised him to go ahead with the sheriff's sale anyway. So, on the day of the sale, and while he and a witness were in the sheriff's office, he called the federal clerk of the courts and told him what was happening. The federal clerk of the court told Mr. Deardoff that if the sheriff went ahead with and sold the property with the land patent on it, that inside of 3 days there would be a U.S. Marshal there to arrest the sheriff. Mr. Deardoff then told the sheriff this word for word. Later at the sale, the sheriff told the bidders, including the banker's attorney, that there was a land patent on the property and that if they bought it, they could never be able to get clear title and would never be able to get a loan on the land. As a result, no one bid. Under Indiana law, when no one bids on a place or property, the property reverts back to the owner after 4 p.m. the same day. No new sheriff's sale was scheduled, and there is no pending action of any kind in the courts. Robert Deardoff affirms this, okay? Procedures for following the enforcement of the United States and land patents. The land patent is issued by the Bureau of Land Management, Department of Interior of the United States government, is the highest and best title a man can hold at law. The holder of the declaration of land patent as an assign is the absolute owner of the property as described on land patent. No court in the United States can change the declaration of land patent without the express permission of the holder of that patent. The declaration of land patent, being the highest title that a man can hold at law, is superior to any other type of deed included in a warranty deed and sheriff's deed. Once a declaration of land patent is in place and duly recorded, it cannot be removed. The only authority responsible to the holder of the declaration of land patent is the United States government. A patent cannot be violated or transferred without the permission of the assigned. Enforcement of a patent must come from the United States government, which means that it's self-executing, ladies and gentlemen. It really doesn't need defended, but in the land patent class I explained to you, if you should come under attack, how to defend it, even though it's a self-defending document, and the United States will come to your rescue and your aid. But in a time where we have corporations buying up massive amounts of real estate and property should not be construed or misunderstood to be land. Land is separate and distinct from real estate and property, ladies and gentlemen. And the entire time that you've been playing this game with these lying, looting, pandering pieces of shit bar members, the rats in the woodpile, if you will, they know this. And if they don't know this, then they're just willfully ignorant. And ignorance of the law excuses no man, for we're all responsible for knowing the contracts we enter into, especially those lying, looting, pandering pieces of shit that went through 7 years of fucking college to learn the alleged law. All right? I'm not going to excuse them. I sure the hell hope you're not going to either. They've sold us out to the bankers, to the international bankers, and it's time that we pick up our nuts and we do something about it. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about growing a fucking brain and using the pen that's mightier than the sword and holding these cretins fucking accountable. And it can be done, okay? There's more than just me out there squawking and talking about this. Should a declaration of land patent be violated, it is the responsibility of the assigns to file charges with the Justice Department of the United States government, specifically the Attorney General. Criminal trespass charges, civil charges, and charges for fraud should be included in your statement of charges. This being in violation of the United States federal patent, the sheriff should be notified before the sale, but near the time of the sale is to start. He must notify each and every bidder of the following. The declaration of land patent is the highest and best title that a man can hold. Once this sale is complete, the property can never be resold. A warranty deed can never be drafted on this property. The buyer or successful bidder of the property will not be able to borrow or get a mortgage against the land. Title insurance cannot be obtained for this property. A declaration of land patent clouds title to the land forever. The successful bidder of the property will not get possession of the property. The declaration of land patent stops ejectment, which means that even if they bid on the property, they can't remove you from it. They're fucked. F-U-C-K-E-D. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Fucked. All right? So anybody that's dumb enough to even bid on a fucking property that's got a land patent called forward on it is throwing their money in the toilet. And you know who they have to sue? Well, they have to go after the sheriff's department. But the sheriff's department's already given them due process of law. He gave them notice and opportunity. So if they decide to throw their money in the fucking toilet, well, he's not to blame for it. He fully informed them of the liability, which removed any liability that he would have had by allowing it to be sold. Okay? So only an idiot would do something like that. Okay, and there's a lot of them out there. So yes, there are going to be many people that throw their money in the shitter, and that's on them, not you. But anybody worth his weight in salt is going to realize real quickly when the sheriff says you can't acquire a warranty deed, insurance is not going to cover it. You're not going to get a mortgage or a deed of trust or a deed from the sheriff's sale. You're not going to be able to get title insurance on it, and you're not going to be able to get a loan off it. Nobody's going to invest in it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, the way to take back this country is to co-op together and start helping one another acquire their fucking land patents and buying up land. Well, you can't buy up the land. You can buy up the real estate and property and then call forward the land patent. Now, any governor out there worth his weight in fucking salt would be explaining this shit to you. And there ain't one of them that'll do it. Why? Because they're all unjustly enriching themselves at your lack of knowledge. They like it the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. They would prefer it not to change. The lawyers aren't going to help you do what I'm talking about because this is how they stay in business. All right? They're much like the pharmaceutical company. They don't want to provide a fucking cure for you. Are you serious? That's bad for business. They like residual incomes. They like reassured clientele. All right, and if they keep the system just the way it is, with you willfully ignorant and them having all the cards in their hand and being able to play them any way they want, so long as they prevail, and every once in a while letting a little guy win so it gives the illusion of justice still exists, they're going to continue to do it. So this is how we fight it back. This is how we take it back. Criminal trespass, civil, and charges for fraud will be filed against the successful bidder and all those who took part in the forced transfer of the property. The notification that a patent existed before the transfer shall be sufficient for the charges stated. Obtain a certified copy of the deed of transfer or sheriff's deed. Proof of the charges stated will be necessary for the Attorney General. Now, if the Attorney General isn't going to do his job, guess what you have the ability to do? You have the ability to prosecute this shit yourself. And I'm going to tell you, the one Supreme Federal Court is not going to overturn the patent, ladies and gentlemen. If you call this forward properly, they're not going to be to overturn it. It has never occurred. It's like a Marbury versus Madison thing. It's just never going to be overturned. Thousands of times it's been mentioned in cases, and thousands of times it has stood the test of time. All right? So it's important to understand that. Obtain a certified copy of the mortgage or lending institutions may bid the existing mortgage or lien. This shall not be sufficient notice for fraud. The transfer of the property to a second person or persons in the form of that stated above is what will be necessary to obtain. Bidding of a mortgage or lien is not sufficient and cannot cancel a declaration of land patent, while a no bid is better for a lending concern. To bid the existing lien is a formality and is not powerful enough to overcome a patent. Why? Because when you're in a foreclosure, the only thing that matters is who has the highest title. All right, so let me explain a foreclosure to you really quick. What happens is, on your warranty deed, there's an assumed business name that isn't registered with the Secretary of State. They got you through frauds and swindles, okay? When they put the name on the warranty deed, they didn't use your name. They used an assumed business name that isn't registered with the Secretary of State. Now, you, having the education that you have, has not realized that that's not your name. It looks like your name, but let me tell you, under the doctrine of idiom sonum, what they're doing. Under the doctrine of idiom sonum, if it looks the same and it sounds the same, then it must be the same. That's the presumption and assumption. But when you get into court, they're not going to presume and assume that, because it doesn't benefit them. So they're allowed to presume and assume in other ways. They're allowed to presume and assume that the beneficiary isn't known and the true owner isn't known. So the lawyer comes in the middle of the foreclosure in order to preserve the accounting and put it into a trust for the unknown beneficiary, the unknown owner. And you can squawk and talk all fucking day long in that court telling them how you're the owner, you've made all the payments, yada, 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 yada. And it doesn't fucking matter. It don't matter because, one, it's an assumed business name that's unregistered with the Secretary of State, so that gives them the ability to put clout on title and clogging provisions because they don't know who the beneficiary is. So the foreclosing attorney on behalf of the bank's coming in there saying, well, I have a duty to protect the trust and to protect the property for the interest of the unknown, undisclosed beneficial owner, because you didn't go get an assumed business name and tie your assumed business name to the warranty deed, which would have given you control over the subject matter. But because nobody's ever taught you that, you run around like a chicken with your head cut off, going to these lying, looting, pandering piece of shit lawyers who say, oh, we can help you. We'll diversify, we'll refinance, we'll do this, we'll do that. And the whole time they're never going to show you this shit because they need it that way in order to generate business. Just like the pharmaceutical company, they're not offering a fucking cure, they're not showing you the remedies, because the true remedies are bad for fucking business. Alright, so it's time to pull our heads out of our asses and listen to what the fuck I'm telling you. Declaration of land patent shall present to the holder all of the rights and privileges forever. This is stated and the front of certified copy of the land patent, which was obtained through the Bureau of Land Management Department of the Interior of the United States of America. So, now, I want to find the treaties, because each section of the United States is tied to a different treaty. So if my computer doesn't die before I find it, I would like to express this to you guys. I'm pretty quick at finding this stuff, so just bear with me. A moment here. There's the Treaty of Hidalgo, Guadalupe. There they are. Treaties. Ooh, we gotta love them. All right. Treaties. A resolution of Congress that merely stated its intent that the territory shall be divided into 3 to 5 states to be created upon the existence of a certain number of inhabitants required to become states of the Union. The ordinance was not a treaty. Its subject matter was part of all territory gained from Great Britain under the Treaty of Peace with Great Britain, 1783, 8 Stat 80. Treaty of Peace, 8 Stat 80, 1783, the boundaries of the territory are given to Article 11 of the treaty, i.e. the western boundaries of those states today known as Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and my computer's going to die, and Minnesota, and all the states from the Mississippi River and eastward to include the original 13 colonies. Therefore, every federal land patent in every state thereof flows from that treaty, okay? And that is the Treaty of Peace, 8 Stat 80 from 1783. So if you are east of the Mississippi River, including the 13 colonies, the treaty that will be attached to your land patent, okay, that you're calling forward in your good name as an assign, is the Treaty of Peace, all right? Treaty of Cessions, 8 Stat 200, April 20th, 1803. This was the famous Louisiana Purchase, okay? This is Nebraska. We'll get into it. From which gained the following states: Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, North and South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, and the Northeast 2/3 of Colorado. So if you're in those states, the treaty that you're going to rest your hat upon is going to be the Treaty of Cessions, 8 Stat 200. Okay, you're not going to use the Treaty of Peace because then you're not doing it properly. You have to understand that what I'm giving you is the schematics of how you're going to, what treaty you're going to use to affirm your land patent and to call forward the protection of the military if needed. Treaty of Ghent, Ghent, 8 Stat 218. I talk about the treaty again all the time when I talk about Abraham Lincoln and what he did. October 20th, 1818, merely establishes the northern boundary of Louisiana Purchase as the 49th parallel to the Rocky Mountains. So, if you're on the 49th parallel to the Rocky Mountains, the Treaty of Ghent is where you're going to rest your hat. The Oregon Treaty, 9 Stat 869, June 5th, 1846, an agreement with Great Britain that gave the United States undisputed claim to the Pacific Northwest south of the 49th parallel. The states created from this acquisition are Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and the southwest corner of Wyoming. So, if you're in any one of those states, the treaty that you're going to hang your hat on is the Oregon Treaty, 9 Stat 869, June 15th, 1846. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 9 Stat 922, 1848. The following war with Mexico under the treaty, the United States paid Mexico $15 million in gold coin for reparations, and the territory now known as the states of California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and the western portion of Colorado and New Mexico. So if you're in those states and you're calling forward a land patent in your good name, and this is what pisses me off so bad. All these fucking governors run around talking about the real estate land grab, blah, 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 and we need to fight it and we need to combat it. If those motherfuckers really cared about you, they'd be teaching you this shit on national television, and they're not, because they're lying, looting, pandering pieces of shit who enjoy the system just the way it is. You remember that the next time you go voting for some stupid-ass politician, because they don't give a fuck about you and they don't give a fuck about your family. All right? Yeah, I hear you smartasses out there. Oh, Derek, they care so much. Yeah, they do. They're euthanizing you fuckers. Because you're just dumb enough to go along and get along with what they're doing. Because of the confusion of land claims by the gold rush settlers on Mexican land grants, Congress enacted the Act of Congress, March 3rd, 1851, to ascertain and settle the private land claims in the state of California. For the first time, the land commissioner was established to confirm the claims, and the court of private land claims was established to settle disputes before final confirmation by what is known as the U.S. Bureau of Land Management under the present Department of the Interior of the United States. The Act of 1851 establishes established a 2-year limit to contest claims, after which the confirmed land claims were closed forever. All right? I don't know if you understand what I'm laying down here. They had 2 years to dispute it. If they didn't dispute it within the first 2 years, their ability to bring claim after that fact is non-existent. They don't have the ability to do it, ladies and gentlemen. There was very, very few of the banks that exist today existing back then. And because of that fucking fact, that means that all these new banks, if they weren't up and running in 1846, 1820, and they didn't bring claim within the first 2 years, they're barred from bringing a claim, ladies and gentlemen. They're barred. This is so hard-hitting and badass. You want to fucking fight for your country? You want to be a true patriot? You want to be a true American who believes in the American people? This is the kind of shit you need to be admiring yourself in. This is the type of stuff you need to be learning. I'm going to tell you right now. This will hit him in the forehead like a sack of nuts, okay? This is better than lead and bullets. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is better than stabbing them and giving them a Colombian necktie. This right here takes the wind out of their sails. And it stops the egregious, it's a bigger one. I don't know where it's at. I have no idea. And it don't matter if the computer dies. It's what it is. This is good enough for them. So anyway, back onto this. There's one more treaty in here. That was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the Treaty of Cessions of Texas, okay? Texas was annexed to the United States by the independent vote of its inhabitants. Now, what's cool about Texas is a true fucking republic, if they can keep it. Texas is one of the only states that can succeed from the United States without having any problems doing it, including Hawaii. But Hawaii was never a state. It was hostily taken over by the military for purposes of the Japanese War. And that was in what, 41, 42? Somebody out there will correct me, but that's exactly why Hawaii was taken over. It's actually its own sovereign nation. The Hawaiian people, the pineapple chuckers out there, they're their own people. They got their own rules, regulations. They're their own show. Unfortunately, under military occupation, they've been led to believe that the United States somehow has authority over them, and they don't. They really don't. The people could revolt, throw the United States off and tell them to fuck off and pound sand. And they really rightfully should, because Hawaii is absolutely gorgeous. And their ethics and the way that they treat their land and preserve their quality of life is beautiful compared to the United States government. The United States government does nothing but seek and destroy everything it fucking touches, all right? Including families, which is what's grotesque about the Bill 666 lodged underneath the legislative branch called, what is the name of that bill? Ladies and gentlemen, the Family Care Safe Act. Sounds real good, right? But the truth of the matter is, it's put in place to create wars between ex-esposas and ex-mates so that they can gain handsomely while they rob your offspring's future inheritance. And that's exactly what they're doing. So that was my computer died, so that's good enough on that. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that, I have a whole class that I put together. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this stuff. And there's a whole class on land patent put together, and I just put more files in there. I'm going to put more files in there as the week goes on. It's just a simple $100 donation, but you want to start fighting for your country. You want to start taking it back. You want to start asking some hard-hitting questions to your governors, your senators, your politicians. Start asking them about the land patent. Why the fuck none of them are talking about it on C-SPAN, Fox News, NBC, ABC. Why aren't you guys fucking telling us the truth, you lying, looting rat bastards? You rats in the fucking woodpile that should be swinging from your testicles, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to hang them from the neck. Just hang them from the testicles till their testicles fall off so they can't breed anymore. Because ignorance breeds ignorance. So we ought to put a stop to that by hanging them from their testicles till their testicles fall off. And they walk around here nutless. Nutless fucking wonders the rest of their fucking life. God bless and amen. Have a good day.